Today's review is going to be interesting. We're going to be talking about the 1995 crossover comic Jason vs. Leatherface, a comic that no one really seems to ever talk about. You thought Freddy vs. Jason was the only crossover Jason had with the horror universe? Think again. Besides fighting Freddy in 2003 on the big screen, Jason had a rematch with Freddy as well as Ash Williams in 2007 to 2008 with the sequel in 2009. A weird fight with Jason X in 2006 for some reason. But before all that, before Jason met Freddy, before Jason fought Ash, hell, before Jason fought himself, in 1995, Jason went to Texas and fought Leatherface. Without any further delay, let's look into Jason vs. Leatherface. No, I'd show a copy, but yeah, screw that, let's move on. I can't find any reason why this comic was made. No stories, interviews, nothing. Just in 1995, Topps Comics released Jason vs. Leatherface. You'd think there'd be a big reason for these two to come together, like maybe in the case of Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, there was just an unfilmed script that they thought, hey, this is good, but let's turn it into a comic. But no, there's no real reason behind it. It just happened. What? For those who don't know, Topps is mostly known for trading cards. Stuff like Garbage Pail Kids, Mars Attacks, a shitload of sports stuff, anything. If it's a trading card, Topps is your guy. Speaking of Garbage Pail Kids, the covers to this series is, well, I'm not a fan. Garbage Pail Kids is known for this exaggerated looking art style, and really, certain Topps properties are known for their exaggerated art styles, and that style is used on these covers. I'm just not a huge fan of it. Jason looks more like Rick from Splatterhouse and Leatherface. Jesus, Leatherface. Simon Bisley is a great artist, specifically his work on Lobo, but it just feels too exaggerated here. He looks more demon than mentally disabled cannibal. Our story opens to a brief recap of the entire Friday the 13th series up to that point.
Once, not so long ago, Camp Crystal Lake was a place where people came together.
Now people mostly come together in Haddonfield, Illinois.
To enjoy summers idly, to see nature's beauty, and maybe fall in love.
Camp Crystal Lake was the original location of the dating game.
It goes on to establish Jason and his hatred for those who live and love.
I thought Jason hated weed and sex.
Summer's pleasures is gone forever, to be replaced by things more in keeping with its tainted heritage.
We cut to Jason after the events of Part 6, Jason Lives. Jason Lives was the entry where Jason was drowned via rock by Tommy Jarvis. And that's where he lied before the events of Part 7, A New Blood. We get a good look at Jason here, who is Part 9 Jason from Jason Goes to Hell. Yeah, despite the events of the book taking place after Part 6, the look of Jason is from Jason Goes to Hell. No real reason for it, just he looks like how he does in Jason Goes to Hell. And he somehow has his machete. I don't know. If you're wondering how Jason, a native of New Jersey, gets to Texas, it's because of a waste company called Lynn Hart Amalgamated. They want to build a new office building, but the Environmental Service says they need to do something about the waste in the lake. Mr. Wayland, who I think is a nod to the Alien series, oversees the handling of the waste as a Crazy Ralph type of character tells them what we know. They're fools, yada yada. They, of course, sweep up the body of Jason and put him on a train to Texas. A homeless traveler and his dog. Yep, they're gonna go there. Hop on and sit by as Jason finally awakens. I like how instead of discarding the chains, Jason uses them as a makeshift belt and strap for his machete. Makes you think just how intelligent Jason actually is. Jason cuts the hand and head off the homeless man and, yeah, he kills the dog. Jason, of course, kills the conductors of the train and it crashes spectacularly. Jason walks down a wooded road where we see a sign for Sawyerville? I thought the name of the original town from Texas Chainsaw Massacre was Newt. The hell is Sawyerville? Here we find a random guy made for the body count running from possibly Motel Hell. As the body pleads for his life and Jason begins to kill him, he's interrupted by supposedly Nubbins Sawyer, aka the hitchhiker, but that's not Nubbins. We get a good look at Leatherface, and the writers wasted no time in seeing the two fight. Jason and Leatherface go at it almost instantly, Nubbins quoting Chop Top from Part 2. It's pretty cool, but isn't long as Jason knocks the chainsaw out of Leatherface's hand, and Jason decapitates the body. Because this comic needs a body count. Jason grabs the chainsaw and is now imitating that slasher you see in every cartoon when they parody Jason. Because Jason carries a chainsaw. Nubbins introduces himself and puts his arm around Jason all buddy-buddy. Name's Hitchhiker, and you're... No, sorry. Name's Jason Voorhees. Get your hands off me, you hick. What, Jason's from New Jersey? After a bad joke about head cheese, Nubbins takes Jason to the Sawyer family home. Upon entering the house, we're introduced to Drayton Sawyer. Nubbins and Leatherface's... It's hinted they're brothers, but my personal idea is that Drayton's their father. Or, at the very least, Leatherface's father. He sees the kill Jason did and compliments him. Leatherface gets pissed when Nubbins starts gloating over Jason not only killing their food, but also getting the chainsaw from him and throws the body at Nubbins, running up the stairs to cry into his journal. Jason, despite showing little emotion, shows a tremendous amount of humanity and compassion by comforting Leatherface after his brother's being an asshole. You often see Jason depicted as this emotionless killer being, but here he's shown to be incredibly human and compassionate. He obviously doesn't like or even think about these people, but here he is, comforting Leatherface after a emotionally scarring event. Good on you, Jason, and good on you writers. You humanized Jason, something I'd never thought I'd ever see. That's surprisingly deep. As Drayton prepares dinner, he tells Jason he's glad to see him and Leatherface getting along. We get a funny moment where Nubbins yaps at Drayton about preparing Kool-Aid, and Drayton introduces him to the other family members. Where are my manners? You must think we was raised in a barn. I mean, you kinda were, living on a farm and all. That there is Aunt Amelia. Should I be censoring this? And Grandpa, he is the best at killing. When they ask Jason's name, he remembers when he was a kid and writes his name in, I hope that's Stu. And our comic ends with Drayton welcoming him to the family. Well, that was a comic. For this comic, the art was actually pretty good. Jeff Butler was the artist for this comic, and it was actually pretty fitting. Jason and Leatherface look like their movie counterparts, and while I can't say the same for Drayton and Nubbins, this comic is, at the same time, very stylized, and I can commend it for that. The fight between the two title characters, while brief, was pretty cool. But like most Versus Project, it's short and we get padding. The comic humanizes Jason and the Sawyer family. Jason showing compassion because of his own hardships when he was a kid. Oh, this isn't the end. Because Jason vs. Leatherface was a 3-part miniseries, next week I'll be looking at Jason vs. Leatherface Part 2. So, until then, Mr. Maskie, signing off. I dance like Leatherface, but yeah, this room is kind of crowded, so